Hey, Latino Slant, take me back to that mythical land where the Toltecs ruled called Teotihuacán.
Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Slant.
Yeah, but isn't this the unplugged version? I don't know. I think it's the unplugged version. All right, Paulie, let's go.
What's happening, everyone? Paulie here and the Latino Slant. If you're not subscribed, please make sure you are. If you are not a member, please consider it. We have one-on-ones with filmmakers, artists every month, movie nights, live concerts. Memberships has great perks here at the Latino Slant. So I'm excited about this video because we get to go through two new stories. There's actually a lot of stories, but two new stories about the mythical city. Well, it's not mythical, but there are a lot of myths behind it. It's in reality. It's about 30 miles outside of Mexico City, north of Mexico City, called Teotihuacán. But I wanted to bring in my buddy from South
Hola.
America, Geektripology, because he is Mr. Pyramids. But look at even our background is the artist rendering of this pier. It's beautiful, man.
Yeah, I was checking the renders. Is crazy what this guy have done.
Mhm.
His name is I had
David
David Romero.
Mhm.
Yeah, David Romero, and
So
it's
pretty
crazy good.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you guys are at? Where is the closest ruins, ancient ruins, as far as something on this level? Do you guys have something like this?
Ruins like that. Yes, the Tolita ruins are crazy good. Are crazy amazing. But I have 2 blocks from my home, a place called Rumipamba, that is from the Kitukara culture, and is amazing. The things that you can find just digging around.
Fantastic. Yep. Yeah, I know you have a couple little artifacts, but show us that later on. Let's get right into this article.
Mhm.
So this first one is from Mexico City's Insider magazine and website. A beautiful digital reinterpretation of Teotihuacan 1500 years ago. David Romero was the artist in charge of digitizing Teotihuacan with a proposal based on an archaeological research. So it looks like he digitized and made these photos here because these are, Teotihuacan does not look like this right now.
Yes.
But you could see right there in this first one, he's got I believe it's a jaguar right there, crawling up the steps, so you can get the depth of field. I mean, that's just badass.
Yeah, unless you don't know a jaguar, those animals are crazy big.
I mean, yeah, this one looks huge. So going on with the story, he's an architect and artist who brings new shine to Teotihuacan. Visual artist has made a beautiful digital reinterpretation of the city, one of the most emblematic pre-Hispanic cities in Mesoamerica. With a series of images, David has managed to also explore the idea of what Teotihuacan would have looked like in its years of splendor. This is what it would have looked like in its years of splendor 1,500 years ago.
Man.
So the Toltecs that were first inhabited there before the Aztecs, and Teotihuacan was fabled to have been at the same time it rivaled some of the big cities in Europe, but it was a city, not a group of people of a race, but people of different backgrounds that came together in this town as far as becoming master builders. They were on a higher level. They weren't from this like one ethnic group, which is very rare. The Toltecs were a trip. And here's another, which is why the Aztecs, when they found Teotihuacan after hundreds of years later, they were just
Maybe.
amazed by this city. And you could see here, I guess this is looking up. You can see the birds flying.
Mhm.
What stands out to you there?
First, I have seen rocks being painted this way using vegetal tinctures.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know how they mix it. I have seen the color
Mm-hmm.
intact after 600 years. So,
Wow.
and it's something that the cultures here on America were crazy good at making. Okay,
Yeah.
there's a lot of chemistry that is lost, but especially on clothing and
Mm-hmm.
on the ceremonial architecture, they use from normal as plants as they will come and literally they will come to Ecuador to get the stuff to make things to paint. They will actually have commerce with Ecuador
Mm-hmm.
for cacao, for corn, and they used to get architectural designs from other cultures.
Mm.
So Teotihuacan is a mix. It's not only a bit of Mexico. It has a lot of the Incas. It has not only from the Tolmecas but from the Olmecas. Is wonderful. And seeing, I have seen something more faded than this color, but I have seen that color used with, I guess, is copper and plants to make the painting.
So more info on Teotihuacan, which is called the City of the Gods, or the place where the gods were made, was home to some 150,000 people and represented a Mesoamerican economic, political, and cultural
Mhm.
epicenter. Romero managed to digitally build and decorate the city thanks to illustration techniques he managed to recreate in detail. It's one of its most three of its most emblematic structures. Okay, the Pyramid of the Sun, the Pyramid of the Moon, and the Citadel. I mean that. Look at that.
It's amazing, man. And I was seeing the renders, and
Mm-hmm.
something came to my mind. And this
Yeah.
is something that has been happening on the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
They are doing this echo imaging to get what's going on because there's parts of the jungle that you cannot get uh, in person. But you
Mm-hmm.
can use satellites and you can use echolocalization to see the structures. And there's
Mm-hmm.
ancient civilization cities that look a lot like this on Mexico that
Mm.
are intact. They haven't been touched by anyone on hundreds of years, maybe dozens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So seeing this, I was seeing the renders from satellite imaging in
Yeah.
Mexico, and it reminds me a lot. So this may not be the only city on this magnificence, let's say, on this amazingness.
Well, what is amazing is this guy's work, right? To achieve the
Mhm,
digital reconstruction, he had the support of specialists from the National Institute of Anthropology and History. This is all in Mexico City, National
mhm,
School of Anthropology and History. The visual artists tried to respect the forms and elements that form part of the general image of the city, such as the talud board style that he observed in some pyramids. However, not all of their recreations were accurate. So even here, can't be 100%, as there's not enough information to know what they exactly look like. Isn't that something?
mhm.
Look at this.
That's,
That's crazy.
man. But have you ever seen ruins on person?
I haven't been there. I have not.
Oh,
Um, I've, I've been I've been watching. So right now they kind of look like overgrown mounds, you
mhm.
know. But I've only seen it through like documentaries, you know.
I have seen a couple on real life, directly on
Hmm.
real life, and the craziness is you see all that layers of dirt and everything, but once you peel that, you can see the detail,
Right. It's there.
and it's incredible. You can see the colors, you can see everything.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a link in the video description of it's an older History Channel documentary that has Leonard Nimoy as the voiceover narrator. It's awesome, and it's all about Teotihuacan. I mean, it is. I'm like halfway through it, and a Mexican Iron Man sent that to me. But you got Nimoy, the voice narrator, and then you got this incredible city. So it's pretty cool.
Man,
Although
you
it is
have
not. Yeah, go ahead.
you have a Spock talking about ancient civilizations.
Right.
That's cool enough.
Although it is not known precisely if the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, Quetzalcoatl, had 6 or 7 levels, so the artist chose to place 6 at his image. His source of inspiration were jaguars and other animals that roamed the territory 1,500 years ago. On the other hand, it is also based on numerous fresco murals present in 4 residential complexes that surrounded the ceremonial area: Altecteclo, Tempantitla, Tetitla, and La Ventilla. And there's wow, look at that.
Man, I have been in a structure looking like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. As I was saying, there was a lot of commerce between Mexico and Ecuador, or
Mm-hmm.
Mexico and what is Ecuador, Peru, and
Mm-hmm.
Bolivia. Even this is something that they found out recently.
Mm-hmm.
Ecuador was one of the first countries to use cacao before Mexico.
Wow.
And when they did
Mm-hmm.
a study, they found out a bottle. It's a weird bottle, has a hole in the center and looks like uh, something really, really weird. But it
Mm-hmm.
had wine made out of cacao that was made here in Ecuador, but the materials of the bottle
Mm-hmm.
were from Mexico.
Oh my
There was
God.
there was an economical exchange between the
That's
two
insane.
countries. Yeah.
That's a
So
long ways away, man.
exactly. And there's this huge it's not a boat properly because it's made like a raft. But they use that to get to Mexico
Mm-hmm.
and come back here, and the money exchange will
Mm-hmm.
be through this conch, this shell that you will find in the tip of the sea called spondylus, that is
Mm.
purple or red and is beautiful, is amazing. So both here in Ecuador and there in Mexico, they use it to make necklaces and everything, and they use it as a currency.
Wow.
And the divers from both countries will tie rocks to themselves to be able to dive deep enough to get them.
Okay. Moving on with the story. At these sites, some of the paintings were damaged by erosion over the centuries, but others have been restored by specialists who even support the use of colors such as blue, black, red, and white. The compositions depict scenes from everyday life, the cosmology, and the deities of ancient inhabitants. The archaeological zone of Teotihuacan is located 45 kilometers northeast of Mexico City. Now look at this one.
Man,
Look at
that's
these,
beautiful.
yeah, that's a feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl.
Mhm.
Beautiful. This is great. This is like I don't know if this is dusk or dawn, but you can see the universe and stars, which is of course what they used to map and create the city. The city of Teotihuacan was was created by these master builders based upon the alignment of the stars, man.
And it was a mathematical wonder
Mm-hmm.
because they can actually use the landscape and the position of the buildings to know when's going to be the next eclipse, when's going to be certain events on the skies. Is crazy amazing, and it's a mathematical wonder.
Much of what is known about this Mesoamerican metropolis is based on archaeological interpretations. It is a reinterpretation of the site, the remains, the paintings left by its ancient settlers who left the city in the 7th century. They just left.
Mhm.
Hopefully, they went up into a saucer man, and they're on another planet that they're having
Están
fun.
en El Dorado, hermano.
Yeah. The monuments that stand out in Teotihuacán are the Pyramid of the Sun, the Pyramid of the Moon, and the Citadel, the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, La Caldaza de los Muertos, the Palace of Quetzalcoatl, Quetzalpapatl, and the residential complexes that flank it. That is looking down. You can see the birds flying.
Mhm.
Yeah, man. That's just epic.
It's really epic.
Epic. Another example of this artist's work is the Arizona Capitol project that architect Frank Lloyd Wright gave to the city of Phoenix in 1957 as a gift to the state in which he spent the last 2 decades of his life. But Lloyd Wright's altruism was not rewarded with the construction of the complex because of the opposition of the state's authorities, which considered its designs too ornamental and expensive. Lloyd Wright's proposal was inspired by the aesthetics of the desert to imagine an oasis shaded by a copper roof permeable to natural light and cooled by fountains and trees. That sounds great to me. The central space would be surrounded by a garden crossed by paths for the visitors.
Okay.
Yeah.
The city didn't want to remake the structures because it will be too fancy and too costly, right? That's basically the ancient Mexican motto. Make it flashy, make it look crazy good, is for the gods.
Right. Oh my God, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, and and then this has happened before too. Like you hear about these, even when they've commissioned Diego, and he does these wild murals, and they get rid of the man because they're too crazy or too political at the time. It's fascinating, bro. It's fascinating, but